So the first thing we're going to do to start putting this together is to go out to the web and find some icons. And we want to be sure and not violate any copyright agreements. So I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to search for free icons. And there are no shortage of free icons on the web, so this will be the easiest thing you do all day, is finding some icons for your course. So I'll click on the first one, and I'll click on this set here, and maybe this house here. What I'll point out is that you want to be sure and save these images to your computer, and have the image files actually on your computer in a folder somewhere, and then we'll work with them from there. It can be tempting sometimes. If you right-click on an image, you can copy the image URL. And then if we go to another browser window, I can paste that in. So I can paste in this long URL which points to where that image is right now on the web, and sure enough the image comes up. So it can be tempting to take this long URL and just put that in your course, and you want to be sure and not do that because then you're relying on that image being on that website for your course to work right. So we don't want to do that. You want to be sure and save them to your own computer. So depending on the site you go to, there will be some directions to follow. Like here, it says download in PNG, and that's a format that works. You'll find that icons from these sites come in different sizes a lot of times, and so you'll get the whole collection. So let's imagine that I've gone ahead and I've downloaded some icons, which I have, and here the set I found comes in these different sizes. So there's inside the folder I downloaded, there are subfolders with the different sized icons. And in my example here, my example course, I've used the icons that are 128 pixels by 128 pixels, the largest size, and so that's what they look like. So you can go down a size if you want, or choose whatever makes sense. So now we've got the material we need and we're ready to get started. So I'm going to click over to Manage Content and have a look at my course, and you'll see that first of all I'm going to sort of have an idea of how many icons I'm going to need. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things, so that's good to know. And then for the first item in each unit, I've named that begin unit, colon, and then whatever it is. So here in unit 2, begin unit, colon, and whatever it is, and on down. And this will be so that I can easily identify those files in a minute. So with that done, I'm going to go over to Manage Files, and the Manage Files area is where I'm going to do most of my work here. So I need to create the page on the Manage Files page. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click New File right here. And I know that I'm going to have to do some work in this HTML editor box, so I'm going to try and make this as big as I can. So I'm going to move this up to the upper right hand corner, and then I'm going to drag or grab these 6 dots there and drag this out as big as I can make it, so that I have some room to see what I'm doing. I'm going to give this a file name, and this could be a name like welcome page or whatever you want. So I could call this welcome page, and you have to put the .html. So whatever you do, put .html. And then here's a little tip. This is something that we may go back to a number of times as we work on it and perfect it. And I don't want to have to scroll all the way down to the W's every time. So even though it doesn't quite make sense, I'm going to put a 1 in front of it. Numbers come before letters in computers. And so by starting this with a 1, it'll be the first file in the list and easy for me to return to over and over should I need to do that. So you can see in the HTML editor here I'm on the Advanced tab. And now I'm going to create the layout for this page that's going to give me the place where I'm going to put the icons. And I'm going to start by clicking this this button right here. It says Insert a New Table. So I'll click that, and I'm going to create the table, or essentially the grid, that's going to hold the icons in place on this page. And I know from looking before that I'm going to need 6 icons. And so I think, alright, I want 3 across and I want 2 rows. So here where it says columns and rows, well, we're going to fill that out appropriately to fit my 6 icons. So I want 3 columns and 2 rows. Alright. And then cell padding is something we're going to add. This is the spacing around the contents of each cell in this table or grid. And for something like this, we're going to go ahead and put maybe 30 pixels of cell padding. And we'll just have to see how it looks and adjust that as we work. For alignment, I want this to be centered. And for border, I'm going to put 1. And ultimately when we're done, we're going to have a border of 0. But I find that as you're building something like this, and certainly if you're working in it for the first time, it helps to have a border there to see what you're doing, and then you can take it off when you're done. And for width, well, we want this to sort of fill up the page, but maybe not every last bit of the page. So I'm going to put something like 80%, and that refers to 80% of the width of the screen. And height we'll leave alone, and then we'll click Insert. And this is what we've created. So this is our table, or our grid, that's going to force the icons into the positions where we want them. Alright, so in each of these table cells, which is what these are called, we want to have an image, the icon, and we want to have text for the name of the link that we're going to. And one idiosyncrasy of Cobra Learning here is we want to create the link before we put the icon in instead of the other way around. If you're used to creating websites with Dreamweaver or other things, you probably put the image in first and then make it a link. Well, in this one we want to work the other way. So I'm going to click this icon, which is the link icon, and then I'm going to choose the thing I'm linking to. And what I'm linking to is a piece of content, right? My the first item in my introduction section of my course. And then I get a list of all the content items in the page, not organized by module, just all the pieces of content. And I know that for this first one, the very first thing is my the first piece of content in my introductory module, so I'll pick that. And then what do I want the text on the screen to be? The link caption is the text that appears to the user, and I want that to be introduction. And I want to be sure now and have this link open in the whole window. This will open up the content viewer, which normally takes up the whole screen, and so we want to be sure and check whole window, and I'll insert that. And so there's my link. And so I'm going to go ahead and click center here to center it in the cell, and then I'm going to back up now because I want the icon to appear above the word introduction, and so I'm going to click enter to give myself a little more space, and then backspace up. So now I'm going to put in another link. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click on the link icon again, and I'm going to navigate to content again because I'm making a link to a content item, and I'm going to click title page, the same thing I clicked before, because we want the icon to link to the same thing as the text that says introduction. It's all the same thing. And one idiosyncrasy of Cobra Learning is that you have to put the link caption in here. So there has to be something here that's text, even though we really want this to be an image, our icon. So as a placeholder, I'm just going to click the B key 4 times, and then I'll go ahead and click whole window like I did before, and click insert. So now I have 2 text links that go to that first page of content. And I'm going to put my cursor right in the middle between the 4 B's, and then I'm going to click the insert image button. And I'll click choose a file, and I'll navigate to where my icons are saved on my computer. And I'll pick one I like and click open. And then I'll click the big blue button, upload. Now alternative text, if your students are using screen readers, it'll read this text to them, and so I'm going to put in introduction and click OK. And so there's my image. You can see where my cursor is. I'm going to hit delete 2 times to get rid of those 2 B's, and I'll put my cursor over here, and then hit backspace 2 times to get rid of those 2 B's. So I'm left with only the image, but the link is still active. So I haven't lost the code that makes the link, I've just deleted the text around it. So okay, let's do another. I'm going to click in the second box here, and I'll click my center to get the cursor in the center, and then I'll click my link icon, and I'll go down to content, and then I'll get my list of content. So I'm going to come down to the first one that says begin unit, and since I named my files that way, I know this is the first file in the next unit. And so I'll call this unit 1, and I'll check whole window and insert. Then I'll do just what I did before. I'll come to the front here and hit enter, and then back up 1, hit insert quick link again, content, down to the first one that says begin unit, and I'll put my 4 B's in there, whole window, insert, Put my cursor in the middle, click Insert Image, find the image I want, upload. Be sure and put in alternative text for screen readers, Unit 1. And then take out the two B's, the text placeholders, if I can get it there. Okay, all set. Okay, well I went in and put in a third one while you weren't looking to balance out the page so that my table is centered evenly in this page I'm working on. And it's about time now to save this file so we don't lose our work and to test it out and see how it's going to look to users. So I'm going to come down here to the bottom and click Save. And when I do that, you can see here's my onewelcomepage.html here in my list of files on my Manage Files page. And if I click the drop down arrow right next to it here, I can come down and I can click Preview. And one thing to notice is that when you preview this page, the images don't show up. And so I think this is a problem with Cobra Learning, because even though it doesn't preview correctly here, it does work correctly when you put it in the course. So if you preview your file and you see, well, this doesn't seem right, don't spend time thinking about it, just go on past that. So we're going to click on Manage Content. And the first thing we're going to do is come over to Settings and click Settings. And then the first thing, we should be on the main page. We should have main page clicked here. And the first thing on this page is a box that says create a custom content home page from a file. And this is what we've already done. So we're going to check that box and then click the change file button. Yours might not say change file, it might say select file or something like that. But click whatever that button is. Then come down through the list here and pick the page you just created, onewelcomepage.html, and click Select File. And now you've chosen that file to be the page that users see when they first come to the content area in your course. We're going to do one more thing. Come over to the Content Viewer link here, and on this page, scroll down, and under Modules Displayed, check Show Current Module Only. And this is what keeps the links in the left-hand bar only showing the links in the current module, not the whole semester's worth of links. And click Save and Close. And if you've done everything correctly, when you come back to this page, you should have a new link here now that says Content Home. And so you can click on Content Home, and you can see the page that you've created. And you can even click on one of the icons and see that it brings up the Content Viewer screen and takes you to that page, and only shows the icons, or not the icons, but only shows the links that are in that module. So we'll click Exit from there, and we can check it again. Now we need to go back and edit that page to put in the second set, or the second row of icons for Unit 3, Unit 4, and the final exam in my case, and to get rid of this border. And we need to get rid of this border. So I'm going to click on Manage Files, and I'm going to come down to my file, click the drop down arrow, and edit file. And so just like I did before, I'm going to put this up in the upper left hand corner. I'm going to drag this out to be as big as I can make it so I can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to right click on my table, and a pop-up menu appears, and I'll scroll down to Table Properties. So I'll click Table Properties, and this opens in a tiny window for some reason, so I'm going to drag that out to be bigger. And I'm going to change this border. I like the way everything else kind of worked. I'm going to change this border from 1 to 0, and then click Update. And you can still see there's a little bit of a border in dotted lines, and that's how you know that it's invisible to the users. So I'll click Save, and then from there I can go straight back to Content Home and see what it looks like. And I think we're all set.